Welcome to the American Mandate. I'm Grady.
And I'm Camden. So, Grady, a lot happened over the weekend as a result of our good old President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Zelenskyy getting into it in the Oval Office. I want to hear your thoughts on that here in a moment, but 48 hours after that, an emergency meeting of NATO countries, plus Ukraine for whatever reason, without the United States happened. Almost symbolizing NATO countries are trying to move on from our country that pays, 16% of their annual budget and also gives the entire organization legitimacy. Prime Minister Stromer was then asked from a reporter and wanted to explain what the world, it really explains what the world thinks about us. And so I want to play this clip for you and kind of get your feedback on it.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Watching President Trump berate a wartime president and defender of European freedom in the Oval Office said to many people what you've already said in a way, that everything has changed. Given that the US has become an unreliable ally, did you as European leaders discuss the prospect of actually going it alone and actually what the reality of a US pulling out of this, all of this would mean? Do you think you really do need the US? And if you do you think the coalition of the willing will be enough to bring President Trump back around? Thank you.
Well, first in relation to last Friday, nobody wanted to see what happened last Friday, but I do not accept that the US is an unreliable ally. The US has been a reliable ally to the UK for many, many decades and continues to be. There are no two countries as closely aligned as our two countries, and our defence, our security and intelligence is intertwined in a way no two other countries are. So it's an important and reliable ally for us. The discussions we've had today, particularly the coalition of the willing, is on the basis that this is a plan that we will work with the US and that it will have US backing. So that is the purpose of the plan, and that is why I spoke to President Trump last night before we develop the work on this plan. Thank you.
So the Prime Minister is correct, and that is why Zelenskyy is now purportedly saying that he's ready to sign this minerals deal. Apparently, there's been kind of mixed reports on like whether or not he does want to sign it or not, but I think it would be in the best interest of the United States. I mean, Grady, this is just hilarious. It's a hilarious turn of events where the world forgets the United States is the West. The definitionally, like, we are NATO, we are the UN, we are United States. We don't act like it sometimes, but we are. They get to lower their defense spending and talk a big game because we ramp up ours. I'm not the one to call for completely leaving NATO. I know you might have some different thoughts, but this is kind of, we have all our bases over there because of NATO. We share a lot of our intelligence. Mainly that is to keep world peace because we are trying to be in every little thing. So kind of talk back and forth with me where your head is at as far as all this goes.
Well, as far as the meeting goes, I think Zelenskyy either went in wanting to sabotage the meeting or just completely fumbled the bag. All he had to do was show up in a suit, shake some hands, smile, and sign the deal. But instead he decided he wanted to fight it out in front of the American media and basically insult our president and our vice president. Now, granted, I don't think J.D. Vance helped at all. People will say, oh, he was great. He was not great. Now, in the very beginning, I think Zelenskyy came out right out of the gate wanting to be hostile, wanting to negotiate in front of the American media, and Trump was the adult in the room. He let Zelenskyy say what he wanted to say, and he just moved on. He just wanted to get this deal signed. It wasn't this big thing. And eventually, J.D. Vance got sick of the media asking stupid questions, and he decided to push back on them and defend Trump. And that's when Zelenskyy decided he was going to pick a fight with J.D. Vance. That's where things went really south. Because J.D. Vance, rather than what he should have done, is what he was talking about foreign policy. What kind of diplomacy are you talking about? And J.D. Vance is like, I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that will end the destruction of your country. Now, what he should have said right there is, listen, we might have disagreements, but let's not debate this in front of the American media. Let's go talk about it. That's what should have happened. Instead, J.D. Vance decided he was going to call him disrespectful, which he was, and pick a fight with Zelenskyy. And eventually he called him out for basically showing up for the opposition last year, which probably aggravated Trump. But Trump kept his cool throughout all of this. Mm-hmm. The only thing that set Trump off was when Zelenskyy basically insinuated that, we have this big ocean between us, but we're going to feel the pressure of Putin if we don't stand up to him. And Trump is like, dude, shut the fuck up. I've been holding my tongue for 45 minutes now, but you're here to sign a deal for minerals. You're not here to debate the negotiation process. We're not here to talk about that. We're not going to give you security guarantees before the war is over, which is going to provoke World War III, nuclear war. We're not going to do that. It's completely unreasonable. So I think Trump went off on a bit of a tangent. I think he could have done a little better, but I appreciate him for standing up for America First interest and putting Zelenskyy in his place. Now, optically, people can argue that it was a bad thing. Optically, people can say it was a good thing. I think it's kind of mixed. I think I think Putin probably loves it. I don't know if that's good or bad. But the thing is, Zelenskyy really dropped the ball, and whether that was intentional or not doesn't really matter. The end of the story is he went home empty-handed, and now he wants to sign the deal again. And I don't think Trump should immediately take him up on that. I think he should be like, listen, we're going to negotiate this before you even show up, because if you come here and try to pull the same stunt again, we are done. Because he's already started to pull arms and pull support for Ukraine, as he should. And like you said, if you don't want to make a deal, we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out, and that won't be pretty.
Here's normally when you and I have these discussions, you're on the side that is more pro-Trump leaning, and I'm more on the side of very antagonizing against Trump. I think it's funny that a little bit different situation here, as I loved everything that happened during that meeting. As far as Vance calling Zelenskyy out, as far as Trump going on, this is one of the few tangents I was like, Trump is 100% justified in every single thing he said. And Zelensky's entire job was to come there, to smile, to say, thank you, Mr. President, thank you, Mr. Vice President, for giving me the opportunity to continue securing my country and to hopefully end this war. Thank you for giving me the mineral deal, which is the security deal. That is what security is. Is we
it's all
having
the security he could ask for.
Yeah, it's having an actual interest in the country business-wise. We cannot put on paper that we are actually supporting Ukraine, right? Because that's how all this started with Russia to begin with, is of Ukraine coming to NATO. So Zelenskyy, all he had to do was smile, wave, thank you, Mr. President, wear a suit. That is it. So whether Vance antagonized him, I don't care. Zelenskyy is a world leader. Every single other world leader. I don't like Trudeau. I don't like the Prime Minister of the UK. I don't like these people because I think that they do not support Western values. I mean, shoot, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, his Starmer, basically come out saying like, oh, we're going to help Ukraine with security guarantee. We're going to possibly put our own boots on the ground. They can't secure their own country. They have a huge Muslim population that is just zooming into their country, taking over the country. Muhammad is the number one name in that country, which is a white English country. I'm not saying that is a bad thing. That's just the facts of what it's supposed to be, and it's not anymore. So it's pretty rich to hear him say that kind of stuff. But when he's in front of Trump, he is very trying to butter up Trump. Trump's trying to butter him up. There is a way you do these meetings in public. Now, in the private room, you can have a shouting match. No one cares. Trump understands that. Zelenskyy understands that. What Zelenskyy did was completely out of line, was completely uncalled for. And you can make the justification against Vance and Trump. I'm sorry, I don't really care. That is their Oval Office. That is their American media. Zelenskyy tried to play to the American media and to the left and to the world, and they all fell into Zelensky's trap. Zelenskyy was right about everything. All of them are on his side, Donald Trump and Vice President Vance did what was best for the American people, and Vice President Vance showed who Zelensky actually was to the world. And so I am in total agreement with everything that happened there. Donald Trump and Marco Rubio kicking Zelensky out of the White House shows that to the world, we are the greatest superpower on the history of this planet. We do not show it often because we let you all do what you want to do. Do you really want to see a world where we are an isolationist country? You don't. So, as I said on Friday's show, I was happy with everything that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows.
I'm happy with what happened. I would say if their interest was to not have that happen, I would say J.D. Vance shouldn't have provoked him.
Agreed.
If they didn't want to have the debate in public, if they thought that was a bad look, then they probably should have de-escalated. Mm-hmm. But if that's what they wanted, if they wanted to just, hey, let's just put this guy in his place in front of our media and show the American people where we stand, if that's what they wanted to do, then they did great. I think optically, at least from his base, they're gonna eat it up. Mm-hmm. They already have. And yeah, that's all I really have to say on the meeting. Now, when it comes to the actual deal, the rare earth deal, over the weekend, I didn't really know this, but apparently most of the minerals that the U.S. is interested in is in the Donbass region, which is now under the control of Russia and will probably remain under the control of Russia. So this deal doesn't exactly facilitate a whole lot for America as far as the Ukrainian region. But Putin has come out and said, hey, we have a lot more minerals than Ukraine has right now, and we'd love to make a deal as well. So it seems like Trump wants to do both deals. That would be my guess. He'd be stupid not to. I think he should do the deal in Ukraine. He should do the deal in Russia after the negotiations have finished and the war is over. And that will really have ramifications on the world stage, because think about China has most of those rare earth minerals, and they have a very now close relationship with Russia. If Russia now starts working with the U.S. on giving us minerals, that could kind of weaken the partnership between Russia and China, which would be a very good thing, and it would strengthen the relationship between Russia and the U.S. And no matter what anybody says, that is good for the world, to have good relations between Russia and the U.S. I'm not saying that they need to be best friends. They really shouldn't be. But at the end of the day, having Putin not be our enemy is on everybody's best interest, especially now.
Here's the funny part that I don't think NATO and Ukraine are taking into account. If we are thinking solely in the best interest of the United States of America, we do not care what happens to the Ukraine, and we take every deal we can with Russia. The three superpowers on the world is China, is Russia, and the United States of America. So those are the two powers we want to deal with. The other people that we want to deal with, India, rising power. Those are the people that we want to work with. Germany, we have issue because they're Western values, but they are a pretty substantial country now at this point. So those are the countries we're dealing with. And so I don't think that they understand how reserved we're being and how pro-West and pro these allies that we're being by not just jumping in and aligning ourselves with Russia. They're saying that we're evil. They're saying that, we're going with the bad guys. We're not. If we wanted to go with the bad guys, you realize how much damage we could do overnight? We can just say, Ukraine, you're done. Sorry, we're going to support Russia. We're going to send weapons to Russia and let Russia take you over. We're not the bad guys.
They would fall in 24 hours. It's a stupid argument. Oh, he's working with the enemy. It's like, dude, he's engaging in diplomacy with both powers. He just met with Zelensky. He's clearly not picking a side. That's insane.
Yes.
And he did say in the meeting, he literally said, if we're going to make a deal, there has to be concessions from both sides. That's how this works. That's how deals happen. He goes, I am the mediator. I am not picking sides here. You are not our legitimate ally, but we have supported you for years, which is why we're meeting.
Yes.
This is a superpower we're talking about. We could just let you piss in the wind, and you'd be finished.
Right.
Zelensky would be executed in a week by Vladimir Putin. We're not doing that. We're facilitating a legitimate negotiation. And the fact that people are shitting on Trump for that just goes to show that pretty much everybody in Europe and people in the United States of America, including Democrats and Republicans, are pro-war. They don't want this war to end. Neither does Zelensky. And it actually seems like Vladimir Putin does want the war to end, which is progress.
Yes. Another thing I want to move, not to pivot off into a different sector completely, but another win for the president. President Trump had a few wins on the weekend, and we'll see if we can get to all of them today. But one of the ones that I'm very happy about is he signed an executive order designating English as the official language of the United States, the first such designation in the country's history, and this is the report coming to us from NPR. The order, which Trump signed on Saturday, rescinds a policy issued by former President Bill Clinton requiring agencies to provide assistant programs for people with limited English proficiency, according to a White House fact sheet. The order allows agencies to voluntarily keep those systems in place if they wish. A nationally designated language is at the core of a united and cohesive society, and the United States is strengthened by a citizenry that can freely exchange ideas in one language, the order said. English is already the official language of more than 30 states. People I'm seeing online are saying this is shameful, this is ridiculous, this is insensitive, it's offensive. You want to know what's offensive? Press 1 for English, press 2 for Spanish. Waking up to a stand and talking to a person and they don't know a lick of English, they know Spanish or they know something from another foreign power, Asian country or something. As a society, we have lost that we have a national identity, which is having morals like that, having life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that every citizen deserves to have. It is striving that every single citizen have what's laid out in the Bill of Rights. It is having a common language. Every country has a common language. Besides Canada, they have English and French, which is, I would say, they should get rid of the French side if I was personally in charge of that country, but like when I've been to Mexico. When I go there, I don't expect anyone to understand English. Some do because English is pretty much the world language. But when you go into Mexico, majority of them just know Spanish. And I think it is insane that we do not require people to learn our language, learn our culture, learn our ways. This is what's happening in the UK. Why Islam is just taking over that country. Because they do not have the values that they had set in their country for a long period of time. And so I am full support of this. I think the people are going to get hung up on the part that says the order allows, basically tells agencies that you do not need to require assistant programs for people with limited English proficiency. That's going to be hard for certain people, and it's going to sound racist. It's not. This is our country's English. I'm fine with us creating programs to be like, hey, you want to be in this country, you want to have a green card, you want to learn English. I'm fine with that program and you signing up for that program. I am not for us changing our entire culture so that the second language of our country is Spanish. Because where does that end? The third one's French, the fourth one is German. Like, no, we don't. So what's your thoughts on this? Clearly, I'm really for it. Where are you at?
There's only one thing to say, and that's this should have been from the get-go how it was. I mean, the fact that we've gone 249 years almost without this is just nonsensical. You come into our country, you learn our language. You assimilate into our culture, not the other way around. That's all I'll say on it. It's a very simple issue. Anybody who is up in arms is mentally retarded.
Yeah.
And we'll move on.
I understand the argument of we're a country of a whole bunch of different countries moving over. Our country was Britain, France, and Spain, essentially, when it was founded. But right now, we're a country that is of Americans, which the language of Americans is English. So, with that being said in that point, and on the video today, I wanted to do a fun thing with you, Grady. So, Governor of Minnesota and former Democratic Vice President nominee Tim Walz seems as though he's going to make a run for president. He spoke with a reporter, and a reporter asked him about it, and he was really like, I'm not ruling it out. It's very clear he's going to make a run. So, in honor of his potential run, I wanted to tell you some possible Democratic candidates. And I wanted you to give me what are your general thoughts on them? Do you think they have a chance? Or do you just think they're all a bunch of buffoons and they have no shot whatsoever? So let's start with the great Democratic governor, Tim Walz.
Is this a joke?
A little bit, but I'm curious. What do you think about him?
Next. He has
Next?
no shot. I mean, it's not even. It's not even.
He appeals to the white
He
man.
won't
though.
even. He won't even make it to Iowa.
Really? You don't think he'll make?
No.
All right. So, what about good old Mayor Pete? U.S. Secretary of Transportation, former mayor of South Bend. I will say
He has a shot.
he is believed to be running for the Michigan Senate seat in 2026. So if he gets that, he won't be running for president. I don't believe, but
Were he to run for president, he would make it pretty far. People do like him. He's pretty popular. I don't like him. I think he's wildly unqualified, and I think his track record shows that he's completely incompetent. But people are going to ignore that. He will make it quite far.
what about Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania?
He is probably their best talent. I think he'll make it pretty far as well.
Even though
He is a Jew,
Yeah,
so
I
he
was gonna
probably
say,
won't
he's
make
Jewish.
it. He probably won't get the nomination because he's Jewish.
if he was Palestinian, he probably would have made it.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think he's gonna. I don't think he'd have the nomination, but I think he'd make it pretty far.
What about your favorite governor, Gavin Newsom?
I think his track record will hurt him a bit, but it's not gonna really matter. I think he'll be the nominee. I think that's kind of obvious.
He's such a talented politician. The fact that he has made so many abysmal mistakes and he's still on the national stage.
Yeah,
That's
I think he'll be the nominee. I'd be surprised if he wasn't.
What about this is kind of not a curveball, but Andy Beshear, who's the Democratic governor of Kentucky.
Know nothing about him. Next.
I think that's kind of the interesting thing is that he's just a Democrat who's head of Kentucky.
Yeah.
I mean, take it. Their people include Rand Paul, Thomas Massey, and Mitch McConnell. So, I know you're very high on this person, J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, billionaire businessman and philanthropist.
Fat ass. Next.
What? Jeez, dude. Just yeah, you don't think he has any kind of shot whatsoever?
No.
No? All right. Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan.
She has a shot. I think she's losing relevancy, but maybe she has a shot.
Even with the
She's up there with Shapiro, I'd say.
I will say what's weird is a huge part of the government base is Democrats, or not of course Democrat is Catholics, and so I think her making fun of the Eucharist, I think that probably might play against her. We'll see if people actually continue to support her, but we'll see. Ruben Gallego, U.S. Senator from Arizona and former U.S. Representative.
He'll run.
He appeals to the Latino
and he'll
crowd.
lose. He'll run and he'll lose. We'll just say that.
I don't know. He somehow pulled this Carrie Lake one.
He's a talentless hack. And unless he can find a way to steal the full election, he won't win because he's never won before. Not legitimately. Next.
No. Chris Murphy, representative of Connecticut.
He's running?
Well, these are all no one has officially said they're running. These are the people that seem like most likely.
Chris Murphy's the biggest retard in Congress. It's not even close. AOC is number 2, but he is certainly the most retarded person in Congress. The biggest gaslighter, the biggest liar. I hope he runs and loses spectacularly. That'd be nice.
And so, speaking of AOC, what do you think? I think she, outside of Gavin Newsom, I think is most likely to be propped up because she has the young side.
She has talent. She could give Newsom a run for his money. She's a retard. Don't get me wrong.
I know, but
she's a complete retard. But I do think she would make it far.
She does have the progressive movement that was from Bernie Sanders, that people.
Yeah.
But then she also now has started.
She
to
actually
fall
has
in line
the
with
best
the
chance. She has
establishment.
the best chance to actually have grassroots. I think. I don't even think Newsom really has that. I think Newsom would be like the establishment guy. I think AOC would be more of a grassroots person, but she would still have establishment donors. You're forgetting a big one though, Kamala Harris. I mean,
I don't see anywhere that she's going to run. I think she's putting all her cards in the governor's race.
She's going to run. Trust me. And what do you think if she does?
I think she has way more of a chance than people give her reason to believe.
Yeah.
But I don't think. I think that would be a huge
she's an empty
mistake.
suit, so she could be anything.
Yeah,
She can be a vassal for whatever the party wants her to be.
But I think she's going to run for the governor's seat. I think that if she doesn't win the governor's seat,
She's not going to win that. I doubt it.
They hired Gavin Newsom twice. They voted that guy in.
Yeah, he's actually got talent.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. You got me there. But I think there's also a lot of random people around. Like there's Mark Cuban has said. But
I'd be surprised if Mark Kelly didn't run, to be honest.
I don't know if he will. He might. The only reason
he's kind of more VP material, but
the only reason he might is because he might be nervous that our state is becoming way more red, especially after going 6 points to Donald Trump in Arizona last time. But Mark Kelly has an appeal like McCain did, which is just for some reason people like him, even though 93% of the time he voted with Joe Biden, which is insane. It might have been higher. It might have been 97, but
yeah.
Anyhow, any final thoughts?
No. Excited for this star lineup of the Democrats? Truly talented group of people.
Oh, yeah. The most talented group of politicians I've ever seen.
I think nobody really has a shot besides maybe Newsom and AOC, but we'll see.
Well, anyway, thank you for joining the American Mandate, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.